For decades, the United States has viewed Russia as an adversary. But what if that changed? With China rising and Europe growing more assertive, could Washington pivot towards Moscow for a new strategic balance? China's rapid economic and military growth has become the biggest long-term challenge for the United States. From the South China Sea to AI dominance, Beijing is shaping a new world order, one where America's influence is being tested. And as tensions rise over Taiwan and trade, Washington faces a difficult question. How can it contain China without overstretching itself? For years, US-Russia relations have been defined by confrontation. From the Cold War to election interference allegations, trust has been shattered. But despite the hostilities, Russia remains a major power with a vast nuclear arsenal, energy dominance, and influence in key regions. And here's the twist. While Moscow and Beijing seem united, their interests don't always align. Could the US exploit these cracks? For decades, Europe has relied on the United States for security. But now tensions are emerging. Over-reliance on American defense spending, economic competition, and disagreements over China policy have created friction. And when the United States pushes for tougher stances on Russia or China, European nations often have their own agendas. Could Washington be setting itself up for long-term vulnerability? So what if the United States pursued a different strategy? Imagine a scenario where Washington eases tensions with Moscow, not out of friendship, but as a calculated move to counterbalance China. With better relations, the US could reduce military focus in Europe, prevent a full Russia-China alliance, and even tap into Russia's energy and resource markets to undercut Beijing. But let's be clear, this isn't a simple shift. The war in Ukraine, NATO commitments, and deep-rooted distrust make a US-Russia reset incredibly difficult. Moscow would demand significant concessions, and US allies in Europe might see this as a betrayal. And politically, any move towards Russia could spark major backlash at home. Would the US be willing to take that risk? Right now, the US is at a crossroads. Maintain the status quo, double down on containment, or attempt a bold diplomatic gamble. One thing is certain, global power is shifting, and the choices Washington makes today will shape the next century. What do you think? Should the US rethink its approach? Drop your thoughts in the comments.